Okay, so I'm going to jump right into it. Back in the good old days of the 1980s, when I was a Catholic school teacher, let me tell you something. Teachers in general should make a lot more than they do for everything they do. Trust me on that. When you're a Christian school teacher, the salary is totally even less than that. But we believe that God calls particular people to the classroom to do the very, very best in that area. All right, so I want to talk to you today about spending on bonkers. And you're saying to yourself, Jan, what on earth does your past history as a teacher have anything to do with spending on bonkers? Well, I wasn't a spending on bonkers person in general in life. I really wasn't. I wasn't born frugally, but I also was not extreme in my spending. But I'm telling you, those years when I was a teacher, oh, salaries were really, really tough. So I relied on a tried and true method that to this day can help people. What am I talking about? The cash envelope system. The cash envelope system helped me get through and beyond getting through and to thrive. To get through is one thing and to thrive is another thing. But during those years, as a school teacher with a young daughter, believe you me, back in the 80s, it was just as tough in many, many ways financially. Do I recommend the cash envelope system? I absolutely do. There are too many reasons why. One of the reasons has to do with the visuals. Okay, visual. Sometimes people need a visual in order to understand certain things. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it's not really. It's like really like looking at the stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like looking at the stuff. And using the cash envelope system helped me create a more realistic budget. Okay. It helped me to understand my spending habits and to create that realistic budget. Also, it keeps me and kept me out of debt. All right. Because you're only spending what you have in cash. It's harder to actually fall into debt. I have a question for you. Anybody out there still presently using the cash envelope system? Let us know in the comment section below if you don't mind. um, you need to break up your envelopes into categories. For example, I broke up my envelopes into categories like groceries, entertainment, traveling, utilities, dining out, clothing, personal care. I had pets back then. Gifting, savings, and of course, for anyone, this wasn't for me because I was not in debt, debt payoff for for some folks. And of course it's really important to include charitable donations, which for some reason or another, a lot of people kind of forget about that. But here are the benefits of cash envelope. Some people call it cash envelope stuffing, some people call it budgeting. Whatever you want to call it, it works. Okay, see, here's the thing: it visualizes your spending habits. Seeing the cash in your hands, like, just think about it. The cash in your hands actually helps the person be more mindful of their spending habits. Now, a lot of things today are done, on their phones, computers. It's kind of a visual, but it's not as, in my opinion, it's not as strong of a visual as the cash. But I get it if people are uncomfortable about carrying cash, but you could, do that safely at home. But that's another show. It helps you reduce overspending. This is important. Many times we neglect to think about how we overspend. And one of the ways we overspend is by not looking at our numbers. A lot of people don't look at their bank statements. Do you know how many people are losing tons of cash month in, month out, month in and month out on their bank expenses, bank fees, transactional fees, that is? That could be such a waste. Add up on your monthly statement how much do you spend monthly on any of those fees, if at all. Some people may be sadly surprised to find out. But in a way, it's good you found out and could correct the problem. That's more money in your pocket by correcting the problem, right? Um, Extra benefits of cash envelope budgeting would be to improve budget control. And that is what I liked. I never wanted to feel like there was lack. Even if it was in smaller denominations, I just could not stand the feeling of lack. That's the way I get in those situations. I was able to easily track how much money was remaining in each category, month in, month out. And, payday came and I did that. I divided everything up in those cash envelopes, I'm telling you. So what I did was I was tracking how much money went into each category and I adjusted my spending accordingly. Very important. And as I said earlier, you can have a more realistic budget. It helps people to understand spending habits and create that more realistic budget. And of course, it avoids people from going into that horrible rabbit hole of debt. All right. So to me, hey, what could be wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that in my honest. All right. So let's get into it. Um, Basically, you're going to need to, if you want to do this, get started by creating categories. Okay. For example, identify your spending categories, like I mentioned earlier, the groceries, gas, traveling, so on and so forth, entertainment, clothing, right? Wardrobe, gifts, whatever. Create those categories. Then you need to budget the amounts, determine how much you want to spend or could spend in each category for the month. By the way, before you even begin this, start with a budget first. Okay? Start with a budget first and be use your self honesty, as I mentioned about a week back. Self honesty is very important. Be real about your numbers. Be honest with yourself, because if you're lying to yourself, who are you hurting? Yourself. Next, you withdraw the cash or you cash your check, let's say at the bank on payday or whatever way you did it. Withdraw the budgeted amount for each category of cash and define it. Then, of course, the fun part, which is actually literally stuffing the envelopes. Place cash into labeled envelopes corresponding to the category that you created. And here's where some people get a little tripped up. Okay. Um, Spending strategically. Now, it takes a little practice. I'm not going to say, oh, you just jump right into it. That would be a bold-faced lie. I can't do that to you. But spending strategically is something, habits that you hone over time. And here's how it works: you spend strategically, use only the cash in the appropriate envelopes for each purchase. Excuse me. Next, now here's the part that some people are okay with, and some people might go, well, in the beginning. Then you get used to it when you see the results. No more spending. Once the cash is in the envelope is actually gone, pardon, you cannot spend any more in that category until the next budgeting period. That's it. It's like, you mean there's an end game to this? Yeah. The end game is when the envelopes are empty. Now, if you create an additional envelope called other, okay, which is really, really kind of like an envelope, cash stuffing cash envelope thing, sort of like a budget buffer for doing it in terms of the cash envelope system. So if you create, my goodness, my allergies are acting up. Excuse me. If you create that envelope for the miscellaneous or other, whatever you want to call it, then you can have that wiggle room. But don't think about that. Just focus on the task at hand. Does it take a little practice? Yes. I should have gotten me a glass of water before I got on here. I don't want to redo this because I like the way the show came out. So please forgive me. Sorry about my allergies. Every spring and every fall, I go through this. Those that know me long enough know. And I can tell now the pollen is getting in the air around here. Ooh. All right. So I want to reiterate. All right. Digress. Have an envelope for that wiggle room called other. Because in life, other creeps up sometimes, right? You don't know. All right. So everything that I mentioned to you, indicate that on envelopes. How long was I on that envelope, cash envelope system? Throughout my duration of teaching. Then I just got so used to categorizing everything, without needing the envelope. For me, that was my journey The cash envelopes was like a training wheels and a habit forming situation because when I was teaching, I lived at that time in a two fare zone to where I had to go from place to place, a two fare zone. So I had to make absolutely sure that I allotted much more than the average person for transit. And I wanted to make darn well sure I had to get to work, right? Can't just, jump off the bridge to get over to where I had to go. No. So with the two fare zone situation, I made sure that that transportation money was filled to the brim with a little extra, in fact. So everybody's life is different and everybody's situation is different. But one thing that isn't different is I truly believe following some sort of a tracking system, whether you use actual physical envelopes, anything that helps you. You could find budget trackers galore for free if you look them up, if that's what you're comfortable with. But there are ways and there are ways. Some ways are easier for some, and some ways are harder for some. But at least try. Who's to say? At least try it 1 or 2 months to see what gives. I bet you're going to be more comfortable. You might actually come out ahead of the game. And some people have more month than money. I had more money than month because I adhered to the situation. And well, then people say, well, what do you do? What do you do? What's left over? I'll tell you what I did. Put it in savings. I, I put it in savings, and this is what I chose to do. And then I started the cycle all over again, forgetting about the extra that I had. Now, if somebody rather carry it over to another envelope to the future, that's okay. That works. It works. But for me, I wanted to see my fruits of my labor, and I took that extra, so-called extra, what was left over, and put it into a savings. And you will see as time goes by, anyone could do this, but they have to really want to. I will say this till the cows come home. Okay. Attitude is half the battle won. I'm going to say it again. Attitude towards money, towards anything in life, really, towards anything in life, attitude is half the battle won. Like, instead of saying, walking around like on a different note, oh, I'm having a bad day. What a terrible day. Oh, this day. Oh, ah. All right, get it out of your system. Go sit down in your chair and for 5 minutes keep saying what a horrible day you're having. But make a promise that when 5 minutes are over, I'm done saying that. I'm going to get up and say, you know what? I'm going to make this a better rest of today. No matter what just happened, I don't care. I'm not going to let anyone steal my joy. I'm going to have a better rest of this day. And you could do the same thing with finances. Okay, I messed up in the past. Oh, well, too bad, so sad. You could take another 5 minutes for this and say, yeah, woe is me with money. I made mistakes. I threw the money out in the garbage can. Blah, 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 blah. And then when the 5 minutes are over, say, dust yourself off. Say, you know what? I'm going to get me a package of envelopes. I'm going to get started. Now, just for the record, there are a multitude of channels that talk specifically about using, they call it cash stuffing or envelope system, whatever way terminology. Please, you're on the platform already. Go and take a look. If this is something of interest to you, and it really should be of interest to the person that feels a little bit confused about their finances, this is just my thought. I mean, it's like a logical thought that it helps sort things out. So, like I said, way back in the 80s, when I was teaching and everything, but I also did other things too. Okay. I didn't just whine, cry, and complain and count envelopes. When the summertime came, I looked for extra summertime jobs, little side gigs. Let me tell you something. I said, if I have 2.5 months off, I'm going to find ways. Of course, I want to spend time with my daughter. So what I did was take on tasks or errands or jobs, like let's say childcare, where my daughter could be with me. So I still had my time with my daughter and I was still earning extra cash during the summer. Listen, when there's a will, there's a way. But there are sometimes people who just rather stay in that chair and keep whining, crying, and complaining. Oh, woe is me. And they don't shut off the timer like I did after 5 minutes. I took an intentional 5 minutes to go, Oh, I'm doing this great job, but here I am scratching my head. But then I realized, but your head is above water. You're not in debt. You're still in control. And before I go this morning, I just want to say this to the person who is, I'm going to keep repeating this at least once a month because some people may miss the message, okay? To the person that is on a low income, that is still not in debt, but is cash flow positive at the end of the month and still able to put 100 or 200 bucks away at the bank, I take my imaginary hat off to you. You are not in debt. You are cash flow positive. You're putting money away in the bank. Hello, hello, hello. Please don't think of this as a minor thing because I just want to remind you there are other people out there, for example, who earn mad, crazy money and they are everything opposite of what I just said. So please pat yourself on the back. I pat myself on the back during those early days, and I pat you on the back who's trying. Listen, it's amazing. We live in a world of choices. It's up to you to figure out what's best for you as a choice.